Thank you.
Hi. Smoke weed every day. Just kidding, it's vape.
That's what you want to post on YouTube.
Monetize.
So we are at Kuma Cafe. I don't know if you guys can see it, but this is Kuma Cafe.
Uh-huh. Got little signs right there.
Oh right.
Yeah, like some videos on the back.
It's Kuma Cafe. So we have a private party going on. There. It's a Sunday today, and Eddie is gonna do a performance, and we're here with my lovely wife.
Different hardships.
Look at that! It's so nice.
Oh yeah, check it out. So we are near the Kaiyukan, the aquarium. This one? With a V-shaped thing. Ito?
Both have their
It used to be the largest. It used to be the largest. Ferris wheel of
I can't do brains anymore.
So it's 9 or 8 degrees outside, and check out this man.
It's okay. I'm okay. I'm from England where it's constantly cold, so this is like summer. It's fine. Hey, hi. Hi. I'm from Liverpool. I'm gonna do 2 spoken word pieces. It's nice to meet you. So the first one is called Wide Eyes, and it's about meeting someone new and not expecting too much. Okay. She had those wide eyes, that electrified stare that simply didn't try but succeeded to break the logical barrier in his mind. You see, it was no kind of salt. As he was left there glaring, he was like a rabid dog foaming from the mouth but caring enough to not drool. Alright, he said, stay cool. Because she was just a girl, and he was just a guy. But every time he goes to talk to her, he wished he had a second try, because the shit that would come out of his mouth would just hang there and die. He wished she knew how to talk until her wet, because he would lose the plot and soon be firing off quirks like gunshots. Her ambition was ammunition, and she knew that everyone was in proximity. He could be miles away, but that trigger had me smiling still in bed like shrapnel. It was deadly. She started a war, but she didn't know it. There was a fire that was building in his brain, and it showed it. He was fighting with chemicals and he couldn't control it, but she was just a girl and he was just a guy. Yet he couldn't even figure out X, let alone ask why this equation was taking him over. He was a poor mathematician in an odd position, a literary mind that had no concrete solution, but he knew there wasn't an answer. No scientific explanation, no mathematical equation will help him in his goal to get her. He just had to use his words and hope that this way was better. So he goes up to her and says, alright, listen, I think you're fantastic. You make me feel nostalgic. I can stretch the space and touch the stars, because baby, you're making me elastic, but you're a special kind of electricity. You defied the current and went through me. I've got both feet on the ground, yet this static is rising, making my head pound, and I don't even know if these thoughts are sound. Mind it. And she looks confused, but then there appears a little grin. She could tread him right there and then because she was feeling paper thin, just chop him up with scissors and throw him in their bin, and then she goes, alright, listen, it's nice what you just said. Just don't overthink the thoughts in your head, just relax and be cool and be the you are instead. He said, yeah, that was my second choice. Ignoring the 50 other words ready to start fire from his mind's voice. Then she goes, alright, listen, how about we take it slow? There's a bunch of things about me that you didn't even know, but that's okay. Because information comes out gradually, day by day, so we don't need to rush. We can be friends before you commit yourself to any old crush. So they decide that's what they're going to do. They go for a walk and see a conversation through, and you know what? It turns out to be nice. You share some experiences, a few witty puns, they've asked the same questions twice, and this carries on week by week. A predetermined destiny, they fall week to each other's company, a familiar phrase erasing anything that they used to see. And step by step, they avoided the battleground, avoiding World War III. But then they came to a realisation that they didn't think of each other romantically. Once he got rid of that obsession, his naive idea that his goal was possession, he realised that he liked her, but not in that way. And she reciprocated this with the things that she would say, like, I don't like you. But that's just a joke they had. Finding a human that initial first date, because as time went on they grew comfortable being mates. He realised that this wasn't a war, that infatuation didn't have to be his goal, that there was no metaphorical hole in which he had to fill. He no longer drew the idea in his head, they had to constantly think about what he would say or what he had said. But he would try and enjoy the company of others instead. Cheers.
Yeah!
Cheers. So I've got one more, and this one is my relationship between my own depression and running and how it makes me feel better. Okay, this one's called Finish Lines. There's nowhere to start but the start line. Liz is tired looking for a good sign, gun cries go from the sideline, it's about time. You see, the gun goes off, I put my best foot forward, then goes the next, the heel push skyward, wind on my vest, my legs like plywood, press does the rest, now I look forward. 13.1 miles, you gotta keep pace. It's no contest but a cerebral race. Let's give context to my mental states, let's talk before the feel irate. You see, I'm running from the me I don't like. He's a vertical bed persuader saying don't go up in the morning when it's still the middle of the night. Depression definition, not alright. Impression that I'm given, fight or flight. Got a lesson to listen, it's time to fight. So let's run through a mechanism. Flex a vision to the core of a problem. Push your gear like you're perfecting the solvent. Abolish that fear like your fear retardant. Because that's your thoughts before. Opinions change when your feet hit the floor. Perception creeps and knocks on your door. Greets to the peace that you keep in your core. That's a mobile therapy. Running with strangers next to me is one on the periphery, fisting the Ella King Kong on ecstasy. But he's just another guy. He's peddling adrenaline, he's sure to put the effort in, he's making epinephrine like a fish, don't walk, swim. To yourself, don't lie, win, because he has the energy of a sinner. So when I make way, he'll be home in time for dinner, pin the middle to the plate, no plans of getting thinner, healing the day, not a man but a pillar. And how did he get so high? Such unnecessary size, his vision is soaring, and his feet are imploring if he's fleeing from similar thoughts to what I'm ignoring. His sweat is sweet, is poison. He frets about employment, distress and deep enjoyment when unimpressed with local government. Because to government to him, to compartmentalize his mind into boxes. Consensualized like a fetish, he's the doctor to his own prognosis. When mixing the concrete for the walls was a misstep in the dosage. So now things are seeping in. At mile 10, these thoughts were akin to sin, blasphemizing himself and the man he could have been, because maybe, just maybe, he could have been stronger. But if you say maybe long enough, you fill your mind, it wonders, why can't I commit? Now if you keep saying that, you feel like irony hits, because you're married to yourself without ironing out the bits. You're a derelict mind, mansion of a man who feels he fits his depression. So you might as well sign that lease on misery and feel the impression. Yet the lesson should be wrestling yourself to lessen the impression. But now, I'm just projecting, thinking that I know him. On his tail and his sweat is positively glowing. There's no slowing as I reach for his back. Just the know of the knowledge that we're all going the same track, so I reach out and grab. And he disappears. In the mist of sweat like snow. He lives in my mind. But how could I have known that I'm the man a step ahead of me, sometimes surrounded and alone? That I'm the man, a step ahead of me, prepared for my unknown. That you can be the man, a step ahead of you, that you can see is grown. So I'm telling you now, lad, there's no turning back without looking back, so time to weigh out the weights on this weight rack. The heavy gates for this lad have been fast-tracked, but the souls in your feet that play the beat, that a heartbeat to prove a purpose, I decree that. So let me end this race with a vow. I'll wake up and I'll charge for the crowds. Stakes up on my finish lines loud, feet hit the ground, end in sight now. And it's over, and my mind is much calmer. I can pick the words of depression apart and turn them into literary armor, call it karma. So don't you ever tell yourself there's something you can't do, because the only person you can't run away from is you. Cheers.
Yeah!